take a quick look at this. This would be my little 1025R, and the problem with it is that the 3-point hitch rock shaft doesn't lift the rock shaft arms, and I've already torn it down. And down there underneath behind that hydraulic line, which you can see is torn loose right now, there's supposed to be a control valve in there, and that control valve appears not to be working. It's a very special kind of control valve. It's not direct like the hydro valve that's underneath this guy. It's a proportional valve that applies a certain amount of pressure and flow to this thing, which is the cylinder. We have a relief here, a release again over here, and a control valve that sets the flow rate when it lets fluid out of the cylinder. When I was testing it, I had plenty of pressure here, a lot of fluid coming out, decent pressure, but no matter what I did with the valve, when I pulled that relief, there was no air flowing in. So this line here comes from the auxiliary hydraulics, which are in the back. If I pull this out of the way, you'll see this is called Power Beyond. That's what runs the backhoe. It's linked through just fine. The flow was good, but we're getting absolutely nowhere right in there. So what we're going to do is I got a brand spanking new valve for $560 to put in there, and we're going to replace the valve and make this thing work again, I hope. That's the whole intention. So let's see if we can set this in a useful sort of way and get kind of busy putting things in here. And the first thing I got to do is scrape off all the yuck. I'm not even quite sure where I put my gasket scraper, so now I got to do this little guy, which is kind of crusty, but we'll get it. So get in here, just kind of scrape along, get all the crud off, he said. I'll knock in there. Thank you. Just quietly take the gasket off there. Get that surface nice and clean. There are some locating pins in here to keep the thing in place when you're setting the cover on. And of course, the gasket will be completely around that. It doesn't want to come off clean. This tractor has very few hours on it. It's a whole, I think, 139 at this point. The previous owner never used this little guy. He didn't have a mid-mount mower deck like I have, and he didn't have the well, he had the backhoe on it all the time, full time, so there was no use of the 3-point hitch. And apparently, from what I can see on the internet, this valve has some issues if you don't use it. So, since I intend to use it pretty regular, I'm hoping that replacing the valve body finally just takes care of it. And as long as I use it, the valve body stays there. Older tractors had a inline feed, this line that comes across that carries the pressure into the cylinder. Used to have a inline brass screen filter that would fill up with crud and would stop you from being able to actually make things go. And the problem is, in this case, there ain't no filter to block up. Okay, so that's basically cleaned off. Of course, I'm going to want to get in here and make sure there's absolutely no crud inside the casting, which basically is there. I'm going to get a little soft clean rag, clean that out. Hydraulics being what it is, you want it to be clean. And if you look, this guy has 2 O-ring sealed passageways on it. It's good and clean. Clean the surface. You don't want crud on it. I want it as clean as I can get it. Okay. So that's nice and clean. I've got 2 O-rings that are in passageways down here. The new valve. The valve is in this little plastic packaging here. Pull her on out. Looks pretty much exactly the same as the old one, including the fact that it's got crud on it. That's kind of weird. And an O-ring. That really is disturbing me. I bought this thing as brand new, and it's coming with this O-ring. It has an O-ring pre-installed, and that's not listed on the parts that'll be pre-installed on the valve. And I got a funny feeling I'm going to go through all the work, put this thing back in, and discover that it doesn't work as advertised. Those O-rings are standing up very nicely. It should seal just fine. The spool moves like it's supposed to. Everything looks good. 15/8/26, 02, 05, 17. So this valve was built in 17. Well, we're going to find out whether it's any good or not. So the next magical trick is to light this thing on. It's not super convenient to get in here. Again, nice and clean parts are wanted. Okay, I can get at the bottom one. The two in the top are going to be really buried down in there. They're also kind of hard to touch. So what I need to do is line it up, get it started. He said, and I hope. Reach in here, sorry, bashing the camera. Get a Allen wrench. Try to get this thing started in there. And I can feel that I've got it started. So now I'll put in one of these. Of course, the other hydraulic line is helping so specially. Can't thread. So it's too deep for a standard wrench. Now these little guys right here are handy. I'm hoping it's focusing on that so you can see it. It's an adjustable 3/8 drive Allen wrench. Now I can't get the 3/8 drive at it, but I can get my fingers around it and hand tighten it into place. Tighten the bottom one. And then we'll hand tighten the top one once we get it in there. Again, making sure it's very, very light on crud. We don't want any in there if we can help it. Okay. Now, we get to the part where we got to tighten it up. And since it's not particularly easy to get to, I'm going to tighten as much as I can by fingers. Not exactly beautiful to watch. Okay, then I'm going to turn around and grab this here wrench and do country adjustable on it and lever it into place using the wrenches. Definitely don't want it to back off inside the cover while it's in normal use. Gotta be a better way. There we go. Get appropriately sitting on it. Tighten it up good and tight. Over here. Bottom one. Again, there's a lot of crap in the way. these little steel hydraulic lines. I didn't want to take them all off, so I gotta fight my way around them a little bit. So that should put the valve in place. It should be clear, easy to operate. It is. Next thing it's got to go in is the cover goes on top of it all. And that cover needs a quick scrape. So here we go. Out of here. And you'll see workbench here. Can't flip my little thingy over. Let's go up a little. So all I'm really wanting to do is scrape the goop off of this guy. So we're gonna just clean her off. Now, it was originally a clean gasket, and I can see that it's got kind of a partial stickage there. If I scrape across it. It is an aluminum case. You can score an aluminum case and make it leak. Don't want to do that. So don't get too happy with your cutting tools. Be better to wire brush it real quick and get it cleaned off if you have one of those little air wire brushes, but I have yet to buy one of them. You can also scrape. If the cutting edge won't take it off clean, you can back scrape it. Mind you, it's just a cheesy little disposable old school single razor blade that I'm using here. Get it cleaned off all the way. Okay. Get the scrapage here. It's easier to do this if you get the gasket nicely stuck on there, and yeah, there's a little bit of crud in there, so we're going to get that out. Make sure there's no gasket bits. All of this stuff, if it gets in the hydro valves, can cause all kinds of pain. You do not want that. I'm going to do a little bit of air magic here. Yeah, nice and clean. Now the trick here is I don't want that gasket to come off, so I need something sticky on one side to hold the gasket. A lot of people use silicone. I'm more preferential to something called Permatex number 2B. Permatex is funny stuff. It doesn't harden in the presence of much of anything. It thickens up and gets kind of stiff in the presence of air. But this Permatex 2B, the only thing that'll take it off is alcohol. Of course, my tube is so stuck up I can hardly get anything out of it. This cap broke off. You look at it, it's just sticky black stuff. That figures. Not in the mood. Haven't used it in a while. It's thick. You have to be careful with it for one reason. It's so thick it can actually break the case if you get too much of it on there. So my whole thing is to rub it on with a finger. All it's going to do is fill in little grooves and just stay there. But it's tacky as sin. The other thing I can use is something called shellac that a lot of people don't use today either. They just don't really want the stuff. This stuff will not harden. It is going to stay here in a slightly sticky, slightly formatted stuff. I want it really thin. So yeah, it's a pain to put on. Most people won't go through the process. They stick it on like it was like I guess silicone. And the problem with the silicone is you get a lot of it inside. It does harden up into rubber, because that's what it is when it cures, and you end up getting pieces of it loose inside case, and the end result is things you do not want to see. Using the bare gasket would be easier. In this particular case, I want it to stick on, so we're going to get it stuck. It doesn't take terribly long to do it. It also, oddly enough, smells like the old style shellac. If you ever used the Indian River shellac, which is something I was introduced to a lot of years ago, it smells just like it. So for all I know, it's a thick form of this shellac, but the shellac does dry out. Good up. Slow but sure. Getting it on there. So it's nice and evenly coated. Just can't quite see the metal look to it. So it should look kind of like that. And then we get this crap off of us enough that we can keep going. By the way, the only thing that takes it off is alcohol. Alcohol will remove it. So let me move this up here, leave it wrapped. Get us a gasket, which is around the corner. Big fancy package for very little gasket. Alright. Little gasketage. And we got to get it on there basically just right so that the screws will go through it. And I press it on so that it's got the holes lined up, and it's paper and it's sticking a little bit, so it's rippling slightly, and I'll just keep working it until I get it where I want to see. These two guys right here are the alignment pins. I want them to be clean, and they are. And I want to take a quick look at the valves. They're both in the full forward position. Everything's nice and clean, so we'll go stick it back on there. So off we go for a little hike back out to the tractor toy. And it is kind of a tractor toy, I will give you that. Okay. Alright. Now, you can see the plastic bag effect, which doesn't really matter. We have a lot of these bolts, these guys right here, that held it in place. But getting it in there is a little bit of a fight, because I didn't want to take this line all the way off. So I kind of have to, oops, I want to look at that gasket again, real careful. I saw a ripple in it. Okay. So I want to go down in there. My alarm is going off. I have about 5 minutes. Let's see if I can even get this thing close enough. Gotta go that way, and that way. Check the gasket again. And that way. Yep, I tried to fold the gasket over. I kind of expected that. It can be an evil-minded little bugger. Slide it that way a little bit, get it lined back up. but since it's got that sticky goop on it, it's so much more friendly about what it's doing. Now the last piece is that hydro line's got to drop. Okay, we're just about lined up. Now that has to be on the forward edge of the valve. We got a pin on that side and a pinhole on that side. So we wiggle, 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 and we are in position. Now we need bolts. Since I gotta go pick up my kids from school, oops, we got short bolts and we got long bolts. So we gotta do a short bolt first or a long bolt first. Long bolt. We'll chase that all the way in. And then we'll get one down for the bottom, which will go in down there. Chase that little jewel all the way in. And we got a short bolt that sneaks in from the front. Might take a little doing to sneak. There we go. That's up where it belongs. And this guy, which is a long bolt. And we got this guy, which is a long bolt. And we got this guy right down here. Not mating. That's not good. Which bolt did I put in that was too long? Not that one. Not that one. Where did I put the wrong bolt? That one is very short. That one looks like it's a little long. Possibly. Gotta put the right bolt in the right place or it doesn't work right. They are exactly the same length. Okay. So I got a long bolt around here somewhere that I've put in the wrong place. There. Means I got to find me one more. Long bolt. Time check. Alrighty, I'm gonna have to quit there and we'll start again in a bit. I think I maybe want a little bit more stability here. There, this will work better. Alright. Last bolt that I managed to lose and drop underneath. Pull that one in. Ooh, that wrench is warm. It's been sitting out in the sun. That's a 12, not a 13 there. Foolish. Where'd my 13 go? Find that in a second. There we go. Alright, that should take care of that. Now, make sure this guy's spaced off clean. That guy's your basic cleaned up. And it's a compression fit. Put them together. So, get going with a 1-inch wrench here. Pull that down. While we're at it, just get this one out of here completely. Alright, 1-inch wrench, get that tight. Easy to see it right here. Okay, that should be completely close our fluid up. Now, gotta get that handle back. So this is all 10mm work. The handle itself. Two little 10mm bolts is what I need for it. There's one of them. And there's the other of them. So the handle's laying loose in here to work it. What I need to do is get a bolt where I won't drop it. Ho, ho, ho. Since I'm terrible about dropping everything. Get it lined up with that. Get it started in there with my fat fingers. That ain't feeling too good. Come on, baby. Thread. There we go. Now, all over again. I gotta do it on the top one. And there goes exactly what I figured I was going to do, which is drop it on the ground. Faster. Yeah, there it is. Underneath. And I was going to do it at least once, possibly twice. I'm going to be glad when it gets cooler out of here. Okay. Jiggering to get it up in the hole there. Trying to. Yeah, that feels good. Now to get it. Come on. Thread, you little bugger. What do you want? Apparently wants something I'm not giving it. There it goes. Alright. Now. Okay, let's see if I can get it to spin by hand. Back down in gear. Alright. It's interesting how much adjustment there is on that. Let's try centered. Okay, I ought to be doing something about it. Alright. Now, last linkage before I can test is this little jewel. It has to go in there. And it is designed to go like so. It's got a weird slipper clip on one side, and a washer and a drift pin on the other. So here's my slipper clip. I want to drag that forward a little. That's my possible little hole there. Like this. Okay, clippy's on. Now that's on. Washer. Looks wrong. Ah, there we go. There's the washer I'm looking for. That little guy right there. And then somewhere in here is a drift pin. There we go. Okay. Not halfway. Alright. Okay. Now if that's right, that magical little bastard ought to lift itself up. We're going to hear a bunch of noise. Let's see what we got in here right now. Yeah, we're a little overfilled right at the moment, so we should have plenty of fluid, just fill up what got dropped out. Okay, key time. This may bounce around a bit while I'm doing this. Okay. Get a wrench here, the appropriate size. Okay. Well, ain't that. Huh. You gonna be English thread? Yeah, look you're there. That ain't metric, it's English. I'm thinking it's 5/8, but let's see. No. No, that would be 11/16 more. Yeah, that's 5/8. Alright. That powder coat strips off there awful easy. Alright, so the limiter is, as that comes up, that pushes forward, which pushes back. So let's take it back about half a thread. Alright, I'm going to start her back up again. While it's like that, we'll go ahead and back press it just a hair there. That should do it. lift it as high as it will go, which is about where I want because the drop down is plenty on this tractor. Thunder bars. So now, all I got to do is put the bric-a-brac trash back on, which includes the plastic in the seat and the bits and pieces and whatnot. This guy, I think I want to do a little something with down here. No tattletaling on what that is. Alright, so all that's good. That was tight. All those things are tight. Everything else is replaced. Cool MOD. All I got to do now is put the plastic shields on after the seat. I'm going to move the camera while we do the seat because this is going to be bouncy, bumpy, and liable to drop everything on the ground. Let's see what I can see here. Move this down just a hair. Alright. See what we got going on there. Alright, gonna lock it in position. And we're gonna move the seat back. It's interesting that battery didn't last that long on the audio. You can just make out what I'm doing there. Part of the problem is the slide isn't locked down. That's a wonderful way to bite your fingers. There we go. Get out there where I can see it. One of these guys. First rule is never put all the bolts in and tighten them up as you go. Tighten them up as you need. But otherwise you're going to go crazy and you can't get your fingers, get the bolts back in the hole when the other pieces are tight. Yes. I don't know. Wherever I put it.
Where's that?
Upstairs.
Huh?
Upstairs somewhere.
Upstairs where?
On that.
Where upstairs?
Upstairs.
Upstairs where? Which room is it in?
Do I want to know room 4 parts? Yes, I do.
Which room is it in? Which room is it in?
And as usual, the boat's full. Bet you money I need a magnet with the other one. Yeah, I'm gonna need a magnet. Yay. So the rest of this recording is showing me putting the bolts in to attach the seat. You can't see them, but there are 4 bolts that hold it on. And it's basically fiddling work to get them all lined up, get them in, get them tight, so the seat won't come off, and all things are good. After that, I have to put in the plastic shields and panels that go in on the sides. There's one on the left hand side or underneath your left hand that I'm putting in now. There'll be one small piece on the right hand side, and then there'll be the front shield. When all of that is assembled, The knob has to go on the top of the adjuster that sets the deck for its release, and you have to fit around the knob that controls the drop rate for the 3-point hitch. Other than that, pretty straightforward. Put it all together, put the spacers in the right places, finish it up, start it up, make sure that everything you worked on all works the way it's expected, and then you'll be done. So this will complete the replacement of the valve that controlled the 3-point hitch, and it obviously worked. I do not know the reliability of the valve. We'll have to see what happens over time, and I might do a full disassembly on the existing valve that I took out that was failed and not working, to see if I can figure out what fails in the valves, because I've got to take it apart, and as they say, no user serviceable parts in that nearly $600 valve. I'd kind of like to know what's going on in it, since it, again, had very, very little use. The only thing I can think of is there's some kind of piece of crud in there that was causing problems. Thank you.